Hello students, we will continue with Act 4 Scene 1. But remember, this is another part of Act 4 Scene 1 where we are taken away from the mask. The mask that was organized by Prospero has ended, and Prospero is on another task here, which is to inflict pain and punish the conspirators. With conspirators, I mean Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo. Caliban, the deformed monster; Stefano, the drunken butler from Alonso's court; and Trinculo, who was a professional jester at Alonso's court. So these three we know have met earlier, and now Caliban had instigated Stefano and Trinculo to kill Prospero, take over the island, and get married to Miranda. So this conspiracy, of course, was overheard by Ariel, who informs Prospero of this, and Prospero is now going to punish these conspirators. So we have seen Prospero in power during different occasions in the play. He has taken charge over the entire situation. The very beginning of the play, which is the Tempest, was a demonstration of his power. After that, whatever happens to all the characters on the island is all controlled by Prospero. So it is not just Antonio, Sebastian, and Alonso, but now we see that he is going to execute and demonstrate his power over Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo as well. Right? So this is done to inflict pain in form of a punishment. So Prospero had ordered Ariel to bring these conspirators near his cell, near his house, and to display the trumpery, which means the shiny clothes, in order to shiny clothes as bait in order to trap these conspirators. So Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo are in a drunken state, and this is again going to be a comic part in the play. We need to remember that Shakespeare's Globe Theatre attracted audience from different classes of the society and masses, of course. So he needed to entertain all these the variety of audience that were present at the Globe Theatre. So with this drunken comedy, the commoners, the masses enjoyed this the most, and that is why we see glimpses of drunken comedy in the play in order to keep that class of audience entertained. So Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo, we see them on the stage. They are all in a wet condition because they were left in a filled mantled pool, filthy pool full of scum. So they were covered with mud and they were wet and they were in a drunken state. Also remember that during Elizabethan times, drunkards were punished by giving them a mud bath. They were pushed towards the mud-filled pool, and that was a form of punishment for drunkards. So here, that kind of punishment is used by Prospero by the help of Ariel, who has brought these conspirators in a filthy covered, filled mental pool. Okay, and they are Stefano, Caliban, and Trinculo. So we begin with Caliban, who is taking the charge of the situation right now because he has an aim in his mind. He wants Stefano's help to kill Prospero. So he says, "Pray you, walk softly, that the blind mole may not hear a footfall. We now are near his cell." By blind mole, he refers to Prospero. He calls him a blind mole because a mole is basically an animal, a creature that is very sensitive towards hearing. Okay, moles are believed to be very sensitive towards hearing, and he's calling Prospero to be a mole who will quickly hear slightest of noise if they are not careful. So he says, be careful, otherwise that blind mole may not hear a footfall. He should not hear a footfall. He shouldn't even hear our footfall. We now are near his cell. So he has brought them near his cell. Caliban thinks that it is his doing. He thinks he has brought them all near his cell, but it is actually Ariel's trap. Okay. Stefano says, "Monster, your fairy, which you say is a harmless fairy, has done little better than played the jack with us." Now, by this fairy, he refers to the sound of the taboo sound of the drum that was played by Ariel in order to bring these conspirators near Prospero's cell. So, Stefano and Trinculo were amazed and awestruck by this sound, and Caliban had assured them not to be worried, not to be scared of this sound, because this island was a magical island full of beautiful sights and pleasing sounds. So he refers to fairy as the sound that had brought them here. Remember, they were following the sound, that sound of the drum that Ariel was playing. So he says, your fairy, which refers to the sound, which you say is a harmless fairy. You told us that it's harmless, has done us little better than played the jack with us, has actually caused us harm, has actually played a trick on us by bringing us to this pool. And their condition, they were wet, filled with mud. So he says, your fairy which you said was harmless has actually caused us harm, has played jack with us. Played jack, two meanings. One, to play a trick. Another, it's a reference to jack-o'-lantern. If you remember, we had discussed this in one of the sessions, where jack-o'-lantern was this light which was believed to deceive people, travelers especially, and people would follow that. It was basically a reflection caused by the sulfur in the scum covered pools, and travelers at night would see this light and would try to follow it, and then they would reach and fall into the mud pools. So Stefano refers to jack-o'-lantern, or played the jack, which simply means has played a trick on us. Okay. So Trinculo says, monster, I do smell all horse piss. He says he smells of horse piss because they were in a scum covered, filthy covered pool. At which my nose is in great indignation, and my nose is suffering. Is indignation is kind of insult, is insulted because of this smell. To which Stefano says, so is mine. Do you hear, monster? If I should take a displeasure against you, look you. So Stefano is in a very authoritative tone. He's trying to threaten Caliban that it is because of you that we are in this condition, and you have caused me. This is a way of disrespect. So if I am angry, if I'm angered by this, I may act against you. Okay, so Trinculo says, thou wert but a lost monster. He's telling Caliban that you are like a lost monster. You are lost and you don't know what you're up to and where you're taking us. Okay, so by then Caliban says, good my lord. He's trying to assure him. He says, good my lord, give me thy favor still. Keep favoring me still for some more time. Be patient, he says, for the prize I'll bring thee. Try to be patient with me, because I'm going to bring you a prize. Now, this prize refers to two things. First, refers to the prize in form of the island. You are going to be the ruler of the island, Stefano. Second, prize refers to Miranda. By killing Prospero, Stefano can get married to Miranda, according to Caliban. So he says, be patient, for the prize I'll bring thee to shall hoodwink this mischance. Hoodwink, compensate. The prize that you will get or you are suffering right now, but this suffering will bring you a prize, and that prize will compensate all these hardships, all this pain. Okay, so shall hoodwink, shall cover up, shall compensate this mischance, this accident. This mischance refers to them, all of them falling into the mud pool. Therefore speak softly right now, all hushed as midnight yet. All should be as quiet as if it's the silence of the night. Okay. Trinculo, but to lose our bottles in the pool. He says, yes, I believe that you are going to bring us a prize, but it is such a pain to lose our bottles in the pool. They had lost their bottles of wine in the pool, and Trinculo is really angered and is sad because of losing these bottles, because all of them are in drunken state. Okay. So Stefano says, there is not only disgrace and dishonor in that monster, but an infinite loss. So we see them talking, right now Stefano is really in pain because he's lost all the bottles, and we see this kind of comedy, a drunken comedy, where to them the infinite loss is a loss of bottles. Okay, loss of wine. Okay. Trinculo says, there's more to me than my wetting. That's more to me than my wetting. I am more bothered with the loss of the bottles rather than my condition. Okay, so you can see the glimpses over here of drunken comedy. Okay, which is going to entertain the masses. Yet this is your harmless fairy monster, and you say this is your harmless fairy, you monster. So it has not just put us into this condition, but we have also lost our wine. Stefano, I will fetch off my bottle, though I bear over for my labor. So he says, I'm going to bend down in this mud pool and I'm going to look for my bottles of wine, even if I have to bend down, even if this mud is going to go above my ears. Yes, even if it surpasses my ears, be over my ears, I will bend down, labor, I will work hard to fetch my bottles. See the desperation to get the bottles because they are all drunk right now. Caliban. Caliban, as right now, knows what they are supposed to focus on, and he, even if he is in a drunken state, he knows why they are near Prospero's cell and what they're supposed to do now. So he says, "Prithee, my king, be quiet. I request you, my king, be quiet." He calls Stefano as his king. He addresses him as his king. "Seest thou here? This is the mouth of the cell. This is the door opening of the cell. No noise and enter." Very quietly, we're going to enter. "Do that good mischief which may make this island thine own forever, and I thy Caliban for aye thy footlicker." So try to do that good mischief. See the oxymoron there, good mischief. Okay, mischief, because they were about to kill Prospero, which is seen as mischief. But this mischief is good because it's going to bring them the island. So he says, do that good mischief. He's instigating again. He's luring him and says, this island will be our island forever. And I, thy Caliban, will be your footlicker. Footlicker, slave. Okay. So he's luring Stefano to kill Prospero. Stefano says, "Give me thy hand." Stefano again is impressed. He's again lured by what Caliban is trying to say. He says, "Give me your hand, you monster." Okay, so this is a way of collaborating, way of being a team, and a team of conspirators, and they are going to kill Prospero. So he says, "Give me your hand, you monster." Okay, and we will together have kill Prospero. I do begin to have bloody thoughts. My thoughts are bloody, which means that I am going to murder, I'm going to kill Prospero. Trinculo, "O King Stefano, O peer, O worthy Stefano, look what a wardrobe here is for thee." So Trinculo is amazed because he is suddenly now he's able to see the glossy, the shiny clothes that were brought here by Ariel to bait, to attract these conspirators. And he says, "O King Stefano, O peer, O worthy Stefano." This is a form of a song, like a ballad, which he's trying to sing in honor of Stefano, who is soon going to be the king according to them. So he says, "O peer." Peer means member from the peerage. They were all members of the royal court. So Trinculo and Stefano were both peers. So he says, "O Stefano, O peer, worthy Stefano, look at these clothes, look at this wardrobe." "Let it alone," Caliban says. "Thou fool, it is but trash." Caliban is aware that this is only some kind of trick which is going to get them into trouble if they are attracted to these clothes. So he's warning them. He says, "Let it alone. Do not touch it, you fool. It is not, these are not shiny clothes. These are not glossy clothes. This is trash." Okay. Trinculo, "Oh, monster, we know what belongs to a frippery." He says, "We know this is no frippery." Frippery basically is collection of old clothes, second-hand, worn out clothes. He says, "We know this is no frippery. These are not old clothes. These are not worn out clothes. These are new, glossy, shiny clothes, supposedly for a king." Okay. So he says, "Oh, you monster, keep quiet. We know that this is no frippery. We know it does not belong to frippery." So he takes a robe from the tree. So out of all those clothes that were put there in front of them on display, he picks up a robe which was shiny and glistening. He says, takes that robe from the tree, puts it on, and he shows it off to Stefano and says, "See, King Stefano, O King Stefano." And Stefano says, "Put off that gown, Trinculo, by this hand. I'll have that gown." So he says, "This gown is mine. Put it off." Okay, so you see Stefano and Trinculo, of course, they have never witnessed this kind of magical elements on the island. So for them, it is the first time, and they are both diverted from their task. So Stefano says, "Give me that robe, thy grace." So Trinculo happily gives it over to Stefano and says, Thy grace shall have it, as if he's the king. He addresses him as thy grace, your grace shall have it. If Stefano wants it, he's the king, he can have it. So we see this foolery going on, drunken foolery going on in order to entertain, also in order to tell us that these three men were foolish and very soon they are going to be punished heavily by Prospero. Prospero will inflict them with pain in order to punish them. So we will stop here for today. We'll continue in the next video where we will see what Prospero is going to do to them.